Hello and welcome to my presentation on Tortilla Flat. My name is Levi Martin and I am presenting on Chapter 3. The chapter summary, so the chapter starts out with Pilon moving into Danny's second house. And it gives a description of the house, and it's very similar to Danny's first house. Pilon, it also talks about Pilon's struggle with not paying rent, the guilt he feels by not paying rent to Danny. Pilon has a moment of prayer. This is kind of a big part of the chapter. And then finally, towards the end of the chapter, Pilon finds Pablo and offers him a place to live. The passions I identified in the chapter are guilt, and this is particularly Pilon's mental struggle. Pilon was kind of the center of this whole chapter. It was pretty much based all on Pilon. His mental struggle with guilt he feels and not being able to pay Danny. He feels it, and then he hosts Danny for a night, and then he doesn't feel guilty, and then a couple months later he feels guilty again. So it's this reoccurring theme throughout the chapter. Selfishness and greed. So for everyone that read it, Pilon didn't end up sharing the 2 gallons of wine. He thought to himself how stupendously drunk the book describes it he could get off 2 gallons of wine. Obviously, he didn't end up drinking the 2 gallons of wine. Later in the chapter, it explains it. Lust. The chapter talks about Pilon was given $1 to go buy some ginger ales for the hotel. However, he takes this $1 and goes and buys a gallon of wine, and then lures 2 girls back to his house. And that's the lust that is seen in the chapter. And then finally, friendship, and it's kind of an overarching theme throughout the entire beginning chapters is friendship. So Pilon, Danny, and Pablo are all friends, and they have slowly started to find each other after the war. And Pilon finds Pablo and invites him to his house, like I said, at the later. In order to identify what would best help Pilon in his issues and struggles with the passions we have identified in the chapter, I think it would be important to look at his current lifestyle. His current lifestyle is kind of cynical. He kind of just takes what he needs when he needs it and doesn't think too much farther ahead. However, he's not a true cynic in the sense, because he does feel this guilt towards Danny, but his current lifestyle is, you could say, somewhat cynical. During the chapter, it mentions that Pilon offers up this prayer as he's walking up to Danny's house with these 2 gallons of wine to share with him that he spent his money on. Instead of just giving Danny the money, he thought he would get him two gallons of wine rather than just hand him the cold hard cash, because cash doesn't show him how much he means to Pilon. During this prayer, he references the Father, so it's not unreasonable to think that Pilon believes in a god or some kind of deity, or in the very least is spiritual in some manner. The book mentions that during this prayer, Pilon is the purest form of Pilon to ever exist. So that stands to reason that Pilon would benefit from things like prayer, whether that is something like a prayer bead, where they recite the same kind of mantra over and over again during these times that he finds his struggles with the passion of guilt or greed or selfishness. If he feels like he needs to give Danny the money, however, he feels tempted to go buy some more wine instead, he should maybe stop for a minute and pray to his deity or meditate on the thought, however he sees prayer or meditation. That is the main one that I was able to decide would probably help him. And just being present is always beneficial for everybody. Thank you for listening to the presentation, and let me know if you have any questions. Have a good day. Bye-bye.